Welcome back to Godless Tactics Abridged. In the previous part, we leveled up and got rich, and that allowed us to absolutely spam our way through the war with Medan. Then we went down the difficult story route. We're now at war with everyone and everything in every direction. My goal now is to take the capitals of all the factions, basically all of the special locations. But to do that, we need to avoid losing, so I'm also prioritizing taking a place and leveling it up loads so that it will probably never fall, and Swimesh Labyrinth is that place. Currently surrounded by enemies, but its high level parties are keeping them at a distance, and we can make it even better by spending all of our cash to put out more troops and level them up. That's all looking good at this stage. As for my party, we're just sneaking into Medan territory via a slightly circuitous route to fight easier enemies, looking for a training battle essentially. And I get what I'm looking for. Actually, right outside Medan, one of their capital locations, there's an invasion force that's similar in level and size to me. The perfect kind of party to fight. It's not going to be too hard, but you'll still get good experience. And indeed, they do come to fight me. Not quite a 7-star battle, which would have made this more worthwhile, but here we go anyway. This gives us a great map. Because we're defending on a swampy tile, it's really hard to move around essentially. This means ranged weapons are more important than usual, and we have some very good ranged weapons like the Master Rifle. So things like that charger we just killed are completely negated by this map. They can barely charge, and they're most likely going to get attacked once they get close to us, but before they can attack us. So that's looking good down there. There's another miniature fight going on just to the north, where we're fighting against a few enemies who are coming more overland, less through the water and swamps, so we have to be more careful. But by just attacking in the right order, we can still grab the kills and prevent counterattacks. We have better weapons than the enemy, so our one-hit kill or two-hit kill potential is much greater than theirs. We go on to win with no casualties in much the same fashion, so that's all good. We've got the XP I needed. Now after that, I grabbed a point of interest. I could go to the northeast and grab more experience, which is what I was going to do, but then I thought, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just attack Medan Refuge right now, giving us a 10-star difficulty battle because the enemy are so much higher level than us that they're over the 6 or 7 level threshold, whereby you can't really damage them and they might just kill you in one hit all the time. There is some logic behind all this though, and that logic revolves around 2 phones here, because 2 phones is equipped with a couple of genius doses, 2 of them in fact. The Genius Dose is a rare buffing item that gives you lots of extra attack, skill, speed and defense, but not machine skill. So he's now as if he's a much higher level except for his magical abilities. We can also just give them more doses. That's another trick you can do while close to bases. You can use doses and then just put another one in their inventory to use another one in the next turn. Very handy. Now we need to deal with this enemy who's nearby off to the left. There's one enemy who will attack us right away, and because he's high level, this is a big deal. Using the rest of my party to try and bring him down doesn't work. We get a lot of his health down, but we are not able to grab the kill. Luckily, we're super boosted up. This guy has been debuffed by the fact we were trying to attack him, so we do grab the kill on the counter attack. With him out of the way, it's back to the plan. 2 phones takes another Genius Dose. Before I did that though, I was checking to see if there were any machinists on the way to the left where I was planning to go. Because we're not boosting that machine skill, 2 phones is extremely likely to be immediately killed if he is attacked by a machinist. But I didn't see anyone there, so I thought it's probably safe to use up my other Genius Dose, just be really good in normal combat, and then send 2 phones off to try and win this battle for us. We can effectively launch him at the enemy by doing loads of boosts. Since each one gives you a little bit extra movement. Off he goes, we throw him out to absolutely annihilate this scout who had not very much health in comparison to that huge damage we're doing. Well, that's the easiest enemy down. I'm also going to send off ED to provide support since he is more of a machinist. He can do magical attacks. There was a great chance to do one that I didn't take because I didn't realize I had a gun equipped instead. Oh well. So now the enemy are bunched up in front of us, it's time to get to work. Off-ED can start damaging this Yumba soldier. Stalwarts are going to be hard to kill just because they have really high defense and health, but with half of that health gone already, 2 phones can step in and get the attacks he needs to finish this guy off. And another thing to remember is that because we're fighting a 10-star battle, we have a large bonus to all experience earned, plus we're fighting higher level enemies, which also massively boosts experience. Effectively, you're going to level up every time you kill an enemy, and you'll get like half a level up every time you hit an enemy in this situation. So 2 phones is only going to get more powerful. This plan gets better and better the more it works. We storm forwards and kill another enemy there. I'm sending a few guys with 2 hands to just provide boosts and general support just in case we need such things. We may not, with 2 phones being so powerful. Here we're going to provide a boost to 2 phones with whiff free there. That boost will give 2 phones a tiny bit extra movement and allow him to jump onto the stakes in front of him in a second. Being on the stakes is debuffing, but that doesn't really matter when you're so buffed already, allowing us to do a bit of damage to that stalwart. Not that significant, but we do get a nice bit of experience just for making that hit because of the massive XP boosts. That stalwart then starts running away because of the inconvenient hard difficulty. On a lower difficulty, he'd probably try to kill himself. Here we're going to have to pursue, and there is indeed a Machinist back there. We don't quite go into its range by making this attack, so that's safe for now. But next turn we'll be in danger and we'll have to pay special attention to the Machinist. We're also being attacked at our starting area over on the right. I'm stacking up in a little gateway to try and deal with that. The problem is, these guys aren't that strong in comparison to the enemy. We immediately take a mortal blow. The Dame is saved by the sync save thing. And Jock Block also just took a 1-hit KO attack and was also saved. So a rare double save, only possible when you have 100 sync. We just lost all of our sync to save 2 party members, and we're stuck with the powerful enemies now right in front of us. We don't actually have to fight them in this situation. We could go back and withdraw everybody into the base. The enemies would likely take the base, but we don't necessarily need to keep them. I was just seeing if it was possible to do some fighting here, because if we can kill them, that's going to give us a lot of experience points. I found there was a way forward in this situation. By attacking with the Dame and then with Yes No Man, one after the other, we can do enough damage to this fighter to take it out with no counter attack. I had to do a boost with Wet Mike to make that guaranteed. We can take some of the health off of this stalwart, but we can't quite get the kill. As for Jock Block here, I'm going to follow my own advice from a second ago. There's no particularly useful attack I can make because I'm a low attack class against a high defense class. I'll just leave. That way we avoid the possibility of Jock Block being immediately killed when the enemy turn comes about. I was still a bit concerned that the enemy skill is pretty high. They could probably kill my Machinist if they really wanted to. Well, it's all up to the probabilities over there. Meanwhile, we have a great situation on the left, because the Machinist was close enough for 2 phones to just storm forwards and immediately get that threat off the table, so we're safer there now. Back on the right side, a hit comes in that could have got a kill. Luckily it misses and we get the counter-attack instead. Now 2 phones has encountered an issue, an enemy with skill so high that even his severely buffed skill can't overcome them easily. We can though use a boost to increase the movement of these other party members to put more boosts onto 2 phones. We end up with a 60% chance for the kill, and we do get it, avoiding the risk of counter-attack. Preparations pay off, that's all this means. The guy harassing us over on the right can now be finished off with a quick magical attack, and that's that. After seeing an enemy too strong for 2 phones, I thought, well, let's move him back towards the base and get some more doses. Let's just make him even more powerful. I've got some more in storage. Here we exploit some switching to move him through a bunch of hard to get through terrain features and actually into range of the base to immediately get the new doses. We've got another genius dose he can use to get another bunch of levels worth of stats upgraded. All good stuff. The other thing I should have done there is give him a ranged weapon, because he doesn't really need that protection loadout he's holding, which just makes him really defensible. He's defensible enough as he is. And here's the downside to this whole plan. We were exposed to enemy attack while having 2 phones at the back there, and in one shot we lose Bonjum, one of our big DPS characters, and with no sync we can't have any saves anymore, so they just go right down. That's the first casualty of the campaign. It's finally happened. We still need to get out of this situation here. Luckily, by combining everybody's attacks, we could kill these 2 weakened enemies nearby. So we've learned a bit of a lesson. Don't ever put 2 phones at the back. If you're going to have an everything put into one character strategy, might as well have that character actually be doing most of the fighting. We should have just set up for this earlier. It was my own indecision that led to this. Well, once that's over, Two Phones is back at it again, now more powerful than ever, slashing his way forwards. We're also taking down the odd enemy back over near the bases. They're coming at us mostly one at a time, and all of the characters here together are managing to deal with the situation. We're going to jump ahead now to a couple of turns later. As I'm rampaging up towards the top left from Two Phones' position, we're coming across quite a few enemies, and I've made the mistake of trying to bring up my supporting characters to finish this one guy here off, but we actually can't quite get the finish with all of our attacks, making this attack would be very dangerous for Yank. So instead we're going to not make an attack, have Two Phones come back to kill the nearby enemy, but this leaves us in a somewhat exposed position, as we'll see. In the enemy turn, Yank takes the first attack with 100% probability, losing more than half health. Pretty nasty, and then as it happens, they take the next attack as well, and that's going to be deadly this time. So that's another character straight down. Being in this open space with enemies around is just straight up risky because they can one-shot us. They're too powerful. We need to be in a more strategic terrain position to stop attacks just raining on us, and the enemy just getting in amongst us. As you can see, they're kind of everywhere now. The next turn's going to be extremely deadly no matter what happens, because we can only make one really powerful attack with Two Phones. There are then going to be like 6 more enemies to deal with. What I decided to do is double Sync Watch, a pretty defensive sort of move. My main priority here is to kill the nearby Machinist, because that Machinist will be strong against our 2 Duelists and Two Phones. We can land a few attacks this turn with that double Sync Watch. Sync Watches can trigger at the same time, so here we get 2 Sync Watch attacks onto that Machinist, allowing us to get the finish between the 3 of these characters, and the Sync Watch will then carry on into the end turn sequence to act defensively as well. It's not that it stops them from attacking us, but it increases the counter-attack damage and the punishment if they do. Two Phones kills the nearby charger, but there's another one just around the corner. Then the attacks start coming in. A handy miss, punished by that Sync Watch. That's what we like to see. Wifri takes some damage with fairly low probability there, and again the Sync Watch allows us to increase the counterattack damage and get a kill. Wifri gets hit again, going down to 1 health, annoyingly missing the counterattack. We've got some Sync Watches though to capitalize on that. This miss was annoying, missing a kill for us. And then another attack comes in on Wifri and gets the finish, unfortunately. So that's another character killed. The Sync Watches allow us to make it a trade 1 for 1, but that's still no good. The situation's been cleared up, the enemies are mostly gone, but we're starting to get whittled away too, and we don't really have to be doing this. This is just a showcase difficult battle, and we're starting to get punished for having done this for really no reason. I changed my strategy a bit right here. I decided to withdraw everybody except Two Phones and Offie D, who have now captured the base in the nearby courtyard. And I'm going to use that base to give Two Phones a ranged weapon at last. This will make him better at doing counterattacks, since before he wasn't doing any counterattack damage if attacked at range. Need to deploy somebody here from the base just to kill this weak guy who was left over in the corner from my earlier capturing of this area. We can't do it with the Fists of Fury, the Master Rifle will do the job. So we're now going to try and defend this courtyard zone where the enemy have to go around this U-shaped area to get into where we are, and we can attack through the walls as we do that. They of course can attack us through the walls, so it's no particular exploit here, but the melee troops at least will be funneled around us for a bit and potentially take some more damage. Here's one big issue with this plan. They can still kill us, as we noted. Just there when Jock Block was immediately killed, I was thinking I'll deploy the whole party here so that we can just use boosts and stuff from the back, but they can certainly shoot over everybody and kill our guys at the back, so that was a terrible idea. Jock Block really died for no particular reason, could have just had them all withdrawn in this situation. Hotbot here is going to withdraw because they're completely useless. Somebody though has the strength to bring down this soldier and get one enemy out of the way. Next I want to attack the charger down there. The Dame can make an attack, but the Dame's attacking stat is 1 too low to actually kill that enemy. We can deal with that by deploying a charger of our own from our reserves, who can immediately go over and do a boost on the Dame. This gives you 1 extra attack, Boom, now we can finish them off. That's a better way to use our reserve party members in this situation, trying to keep them as far away from the action as possible and to choke point things off where those pillars are to stop the enemy getting in. Well, from here things actually work out just fine. There aren't that many enemies left, and the combination of 2 phones and off-ED just works across the whole map, killing everybody. Somebody's gone back to recapture all of our bases that we lost in the bottom right after I abandoned the area. And things are just fine now. We're working our way towards an auto-resolve safe really. It's just because the enemy have so many high-level things left, it's not giving me the safety now. More intense wall shooting action. Once the enemy are close to us, we can just shoot through the wall and finish them off as they're struggling to come around the corners and get to us. Basically free attacks, tower defense strategy style stuff. Here's the eventual result. We lost 4 party members. Could have done it with 0 if we'd come back later in the game and tried it under different circumstances, but I chose not to for whatever reason, and now we live with the consequences. One consequence of losing party members is you can now use the memorials screen, so at least we got to see this. This just shows you which characters you've lost so far, and every time somebody dies you get to learn their biggest regret in life, so you get a little bit more character information on somebody who dies, funnily enough, than you do for someone who makes it to the end. Well, at least with Medan Refuge now under our control, we can start to make some gains in this area. I mistakenly there bought combat patrols and then converted the place to an AML base, which deletes the combat patrols. We can just make another one in this case because we're rich enough. But yes, the combat patrols deployed from a big refuge are massive, they're powerful. We're going to be able to take some serious ground in this area using Medan Refuge now. We've effectively won the campaign at this stage because we can just make parties that are so powerful that nothing can beat them, and we can tell those parties to follow us around. So as long as we're near our own powerful bases on the world map, we can keep getting these guys and kill anyone we like. And when we go in for a battle, we'll tend to level up because auto-resolves tend to give experience to lower level characters in a party in order to make leveling your characters through auto-resolves more convenient, no other reason than that from the game design perspective. One thing we do need to keep in mind is that if we take a settlement, we are for 1 turn moved away from our supporting group. That's why in this case I attacked some enemies near a settlement rather than the settlement itself, just in case we're counter-attacked in the enemy turn. There is a 1 turn window of vulnerability where loads of stuff might gang up on you, but once things looked good enough and I felt safe, I went in and started capturing the key regions, the Great Avery area. Once we have all of these cities, we'll be golden. We already have the main one, the Great Avery. We can spit out a bunch more troops here, and we're pretty much fine for the rest of the game. As I mentioned, we're going to have free experience rolling in as our allies help us out. We'll have plenty of money, we'll capture this area and lock it down pretty fast. That'll be that. It's very unlikely the AI will retake this area if we sufficiently level it up and make it really heavily defended, simply because the place that would spawn the troops to take this area in Medan's faction is this area, so they've got no higher level group of settlements to attack us with. We're probably okay. We can do the same thing as with Swomesh Labyrinth, where we make it so powerful it will never fall no matter what they send. This gives us all the time we need to do the objectives. That is going to take a lot of time. We need to go and take some other faction capitals. My next target will be Lumida on the other side of the map, all the way down here. We're already high enough level to make that attack and succeed. We don't need to worry about that, it's just a case of actually going there, which will take a long time. There are lots of random places we can kill just for our own amusement along the way. Another thing we can do is spend our battle commendations on this final economy upgrade. This gives you tons of extra resources per turn, and we can use those every turn to just dump resources into the settlements we're leaving behind to make sure this area never falls. So I'm just going to spam out combat patrols and leveling up these cities. This is a bit of a trade-off in this late game situation because I need loads of money if I want to get the final tier of equipment on my guys because it's so expensive. We're essentially going to be giving up on that. We're going to just do with the equipment we have now and put all of our resources into expanding our little empire over here. Once it's spread out a bit into the local area, we can level up nearby places as well. That gives us a nice buffer. There's very little chance anything will go wrong. even if the enemy is spawning strike teams or armies or anything like that. Meanwhile, as for us, well, it's strolling time. I'm going to use rapid transit and constantly spend money to accelerate our journey south. And after that journey, we have to journey all the way east to attack the Lumidan rebels, then all the way north to attack Yumba again, and then to the east even more to take the space elevator and complete the game. It's not going to be difficult to do all of that, but it will take a while. Luckily, this is an abridged campaign, so I'll give you a summary of what happened along the way next time, and then we'll go into the final boss, I guess, of this game, where you have to fight the Earthring forces in a scripted battle that is programmed to always be difficult relative to how powerful you are, so there are no workarounds for that one. We'll see how it goes next time.